possible progress in the trade war between China and the United States, as the U.S. delays tariffs for some items and even removes others from the tariff list altogether. The U.S. Trade Representative had originally included some items, but they will now be removed. For, quote, health, safety, and national security reasons, the tariffs were supposed to go into effect on September 1st. The United States also says it will delay tariffs on other items, including cell phones, laptop computers, and clothing, until December 15th. The USTR's announcement came after talks between Chinese and U.S. officials. Vice Premier Liu He and Commerce Minister Zhong Shan, who spoke over the phone with their U.S. counterparts, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, lodged a solemn protest against the now delayed U.S. tariffs. Also joining the call, the president of the People's Bank of China, Yi Gang, and the vice chairman of the government agency, the National Development and Reform Commission, Ning Jizhe. The two sides have agreed to speak again in 2 weeks.
Hong Kong's escalation in violence has challenged national sovereignty and the authority of the Hong Kong police. On Monday, the Hong Kong and the Macau Affairs Office of the State Council strongly condemned the crimes and says it's beginning to show initial signs of terrorism. Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam held back in tears at a briefing on Tuesday, saying Hong Kong is severely damaged and will take a long time to recover.
Take a minute to think. Look at our city, our home. Do you all want to see it pushed into an abyss? What we must do now is resist violence, uphold the rule of law, and restore social order.
Lam says the violence will push Hong Kong down a path of no return. As a society, there has become insecure, unstable, and violent.
The violence is damaging to Hong Kong's rule of law. This is what we are most concerned about. The rule of law is the most important of Hong Kong's core values. If it is violated, many other areas of society also will be affected.
As one of the busiest transport hubs in the world, illegal assembly has paralyzed the Hong Kong International Airport. A one-day stoppage in activity means at least 200,000 fewer passengers and a drop in cargo goods of some 13,000 tons. Trade and logistics are the city's pillar industries. The airport administration itself loses 20 million Hong Kong dollars a day.
I'm supposed to be going to New Zealand today, to Auckland, but my flight is cancelled, so I can't get there. So I'm trying to find a hotel. Yeah, well, I have to be at work the next day, so it affects me.
I want to go to my country. I cannot leave the flight are cancelled. I feel embarrassed, confused. It's not really good, not really good.
From 9th of August to the 12th, police say they arrested 149 people on charges including illegal assembly, assaulting police, and obstructing official duties. Experts say Hong Kong has reached a critical juncture and that all those who care about its future should step up firmly to stop the violence and restore order. As many tourists pour into cities in the Chinese mainland, Hong Kong's usual summer tourism boom has faced a downhill slide, with unemployment and economic hardships described by some as worse than the 2003 SARS outbreak. According to statistics by the Hong Kong tourism labor unions, earnings by local tourism industry practitioners have slumped 80% in the last 2 months. More than 10% of practitioners interviewed say they earned nothing.
China is still attractive to overseas investors. Latest government data shows China received $79 billion of investments from overseas in the first 7 months of the year, an increase of nearly 4% compared with the same period a year ago.
High-tech sectors saw significant growth. Aircraft and spacecraft equipment, electronics, telecommunication equipment, and medicine received over 30% more of overseas investment compared to the same period of last year. Foreign investment in high-tech services also grew more than 60%.
The China-US trade war is taking its toll. A survey by the American Chamber of Commerce in China shows that 65% of its member companies are concerned about the trade tension and are tempering their business strategies accordingly. Amid this, however, government data shows China is enjoying optimistic growth in foreign investment.
Investment from China's major source of foreign capitals is not slowing down. Investment from Germany and South Korea has increased about 70%.
分别增长69.7%。
Businesses are on edge as long as the trade dispute remains unresolved. But amid all that, the same survey from the American Chamber of Commerce shows 62% of companies still see China as one of their top 3 global investment priorities.
Typhoon Lakima has swept through Shouguang City in China's eastern Shandong province, packing heavy rainfall and strong winds. Roads are flooded and farmlands have been destroyed. The city is an important vegetable supplier for the province and the whole country. Thousands of greenhouses were flooded, while 90,000 villagers along the river have been relocated due to the disaster. Police and security officials are all working around the clock to minimize damage done to the city. Wang Yue, a villager from one of the flooded counties, owns 5 greenhouses. All of them have suffered damage from the typhoon.
2 of my greenhouses have been completely destroyed. I have lost around 400,000 yuan this year in total.
Before the typhoon arrived, the local government had encouraged villagers to buy insurance for their greenhouses. For a regular-sized greenhouse, the owner only needed to pay 200 yuan, and another 400 yuan would be covered by the government. This would allow owners to get at least 50,000 yuan in compensation if their greenhouses were destroyed in a natural disaster. But Wang refused.
Last year's typhoon also destroyed my greenhouses. I loaned some money from the bank, but did not pay it back until this year's flood. I don't want to pay more for the insurance.
Losses from last year's storm prompted an increase in vegetable prices across Shandong province. Learning from past experience, the local government has refined sewage system and improved the efficiency of cleaning rivers and ditches. Special areas for greenhouse planting are also on the way.
Next, we need to prove our ability to resist harsh conditions. The technical department should educate villagers on how to construct their greenhouses solidly. And we should also better the management during the aftermath of such disasters to help people recover their production as soon as possible.
Officials estimate that Lakima might cause a loss of 1 billion yuan to the city.
This weapons store in Baghdad has all kinds of guns for sale. Currently, the legal management of weapons still allows citizens to buy light automatic weapons.
The current weapon management system in Iraq now states that if a citizen feels substantially threatened, he could file an application to buy a gun. So actually, a lot of Iraqi people bought at least one gun to protect their families from ISIL.
Iraqi people like to have guns with them. As long as the customers have the permits from the Interior Ministry's office, we can sell them these weapons.
Aside from approved public channels, there are other sources, some of them dating back to the Iraq War.
The weapons business has been quite common since 2003, when a lot of Iraqi military units were dismantled and people grabbed weapons to sell to others.
These weapons have made some criminal acts easier, like murder and armed robbery. Tribal conflicts became even more violent. In some gang areas, gunshots can be heard during the daytime. Even for those who keep guns only for self-defense, weapons in the home pose a risk to the family.
I have specifically told a lot of people to keep the weapons away from children, but there are still a lot of accidents. There are no good solutions now.
The Iraqi Ministry of Interior is planning to announce a new version of the weapons control mechanism, applying strict limitations on gun possession qualifications. At the same time, the government will also remove weapons from civilians.
Weapons are virtually available to everyone, so you can imagine the difficulty. But we must establish this mechanism at the national level.
ISIL is no longer an imminent threat, and stability is a major issue for Iraqi society now. The new weapons control mechanism is expected to achieve a balance between the allocation of weapons to military forces and removing them from civilians, raising the post-war security to the next level.